Hello, my name is Kristina Kastronova. I'm neurographic instructor and aesthetic coach. And today I'm going to present you one special model designed for the project Nonprofit All-Inclusive. This is a key action to strategic partnership, small-scale partnership project organized by Miramida Latvia and EMIS Sweden. This model can help the newly started organizations to develop their working course, their activities, the vision of the future work. It can also help individuals to think of their project ideas and develop their work with their target groups. This model concentrates very much on your relationship with the target group you work with, you deal with. Okay. The project itself provides diverse support to organizations, nonprofit organizations, including coaching and marketing support. The model we are going to draw today is called the Golden Empathy Circle, and it is combined of two already existing coaching models. One of them is the Golden Circle of Simon Sinek. And basically, we are going to start drawing exactly with this golden circle. The aim of this model is to motivate ourselves to think, to plan our activities, prioritizing the values, why we're doing things. Very often, when we describe the work of our organizations or the work we do ourselves, we focus very much on what we do. Some other people, they maybe focus a bit more on how they work. So they're really good at what they're doing. They have this and that approach, this style of work, and so on. And only few people actually describe why they're doing things. What are the values behind? So the purpose behind all this is to think primarily what are the values behind. So I invite you to start drawing the golden circle, and it consists of 3 circles. So inside the very essence is why. Okay. And here, when you're drawing this why circle, you can also fulfill it with some small circles with keywords expressing why you are doing what you're doing. For example, why your organization exists. What are the key values behind? Yeah, so this can be 1, 2, 3. The circles here can be smaller or bigger, up to you. The second round, the second circle, is about how. How? So describing your approach, your working style. And this you can also describe with several keywords, 3, 4, or more. They can be smaller or bigger. How are you working? Okay. And the next one, the widest one, because it is the most common one. These are the things that we actually usually advertise and we speak about, are the activities, the services, the products we provide, what we are doing, what. And usually here might be much more keywords. Yeah. So I don't know, we organize leisure activities, maybe study courses, maybe we offer trips, I don't know, concerts, and so on and so on. Okay. So usually we know much more about what we can offer. Not so often we actually speak about how good we are at what we are doing. And we tend to forget speaking about the values, why we're doing what we are doing. So here, on the contrary, I invite you to start thinking from the core, from the essence. What are the values behind? So this is the standard golden circle. And now we're going to stick it together with another coaching model called the empathy map. The empathy map consists of 4 squares or quadrants, okay? And putting them together, basically we will gain the golden empathy circle. So the empathy circle, or sorry, the empathy map consists of 4 windows. And this is these are different sides describing observations about your target group, about your audience. One type how we can describe and evaluate your audience is by what do they say? They say, okay? So for example, if you usually work with young people, yeah, what do they say? What do they say about you? Or in general, what do they talk about? Yeah, what are the topics they talk about? The next one is how do they behave or what do they do? And the reality, the tricky part is not always people do the same of what they say. Yeah, so let's say we can talk about, I don't know, green values, yeah, environmental issues and so on. And then we see by their behavior that they are not recycling, for example. Yeah. So sometimes these two things don't go together. Yeah. So here is the observation of their behavior. What do we see? The third window is what do they think? What is on their mind? And the fourth one is how do they feel? What do they feel? It might, of course, happen that some people are super harmonized and all the 4 windows of them are equal or as similar as possible. But let's be realistic. And the reality is that very often we feel something totally different from what we think, what is rationally on our mind. I don't know, sometimes we're pressed to think about, I don't know, electricity bills and this kind of things, yes. And what do we feel? That we don't want to pay anything, for example. Yeah, we prefer to go to a resort and lie on the beach, for example. This is the real feeling of being tired. And what do we think is not always the same of what we say. Yeah. So maybe my actual beliefs are on one side, but I speak about a totally different side of this issue. Yeah. So these 4 things might go together, but realistically, very often not the same. So if we would just speak about these 4 for Windows, this would describe any target group, and you could analyze your target group just by these 4 parameters. What we're going to do now is trying to match 2 models together. So start analyzing your Y circle through all the 4 windows. So values, philosophies, beliefs through the eyes of your audience. So now not what you offer them, but what they actually have on their side. Yeah. So let's say if we're talking about young people, what are the values they speak about? I don't know. Do they mention gender issues? Do they mention media literacy as a topic, as a value? Critical thinking? What do they talk about exactly when it is about values? You can draw these things also here in case you feel that it's matching something that you already were drawing before, or you can also draw them here And it's totally fine that you're answering the question why. See how it feels, and you can place your circles either closer to the center inside the golden circle or more into the windows. Because it's still answering the question about your audience, yes, and not about your own perception. So it's fine if it is outside the circle too, okay? Then, speaking about the values, by their behavior, what do we notice? So as I told you before, yeah, maybe these young people, they talk a lot about environmental issues and that they love nature and so on and so on. Yeah, but by their behavior, maybe we notice that, come on, they don't save water. Yeah. So what does their behavior show about their values? Okay, and write the keywords inside. Then about their thinking, what is actually on their mind? Sometimes some question will be a bit tricky and it's not that easy to guess, but what do you think that your target audience is thinking about? What is actually in their minds about their philosophy, yeah, about their values? Maybe some more things. The circles can be bigger or smaller. It's totally fine. And again, I remind you, you can also draw them inside in case you feel that they are overlapping with what you are offering to them. And the fourth window is about the feeling. What do you think that your audience feel about the values through their feelings, through their emotions? So maybe, I don't know, the relationship, the communication between people is what actually matters for them. And this is what you notice. Yeah, like this. Next, we start thinking about the second circle, and this is answering the question how. Again, through the eyes of your audience. What does the target group say about your working approach? Yeah, do they gossip about you something? Yeah, for example, or are they talking a lot or not a lot about you? Or maybe you don't know. Maybe you have never heard anything what they talk about you. Yeah. You can also think what are the channels where you can see what they are talking about. Is it something you see through social media in their own accounts, or maybe in the comments under your posts of what your organization does, or they gossip behind your back, or they actually come and say something to you. I don't know, maybe they express gratitude or whatever, or they ask you questions. So how do you see through their eyes, what do they talk about, speaking about your working style, your working approach? Next, through their behavior, what do you observe? What do you notice about their attitude towards your working style? So, for example, I don't know, they are never on time for the activities. So, do they value your being strict about the time, your punctuality? Yeah, so this can be something else here. How do they behave? What do they do? And you start thinking, yeah, what is their attitude towards your working approach? What do they think? Maybe they talk about it, so maybe you know what they think by what they are saying, but try to guess like one step forward and assume what they actually think about your working style. Maybe by their behavior, maybe by what they're talking, maybe just guessing. So this can also be kind of a blind spot, and you're just assuming what are their topics they think about the working style. Yeah. For example, do they actually think about the punctuality? Do they actually think about I don't know, individual approach that you provide and so on. Do they care about this in general? Yeah, so maybe something will be like with a question mark and you cannot even name it, and something will be named with the keywords. And the fourth window is about the feelings and the emotions. What do you see? How do they feel about your working approach? For example, maybe you notice that they're scared of you, of your super strict discipline. Maybe you see that they are super relaxed instead. Or maybe they're very comfortable to come to talk to you, to share their ideas, but not just by their behavior, but trying to analyze their feelings and emotions about your working approach. And now we go to the last, the widest circle, what? So the activities, the products that you offer. What is the perception of your audience about this? What do they say about the activities or the products? Yeah, if you're selling products, what do they say about this? I don't know. Do they share some comments in social media, in advertising, wherever? Maybe they leave testimonials and so on. What do they say there? Is it positive? Is it negative? What exactly? How much? So you can name this. By their behavior, what can you say about their perception about the activities? For example, do they often come? Do the same people come again and again to participate in the activities? Okay. What else could be like the indicator through their behavior about the activities? So mostly it is about their engagement, yeah, about their interest to the things, to the products you offer. What do they think about the activities? Maybe these are some kind of feedback that comes out. Maybe these are anonymous feedback that you see through the evaluation forms. So maybe they are not actually talking about this, but you know that they think about this. Or maybe it's something, again, that you assume. To answer the question, what do they think? Maybe you have to keep in mind, you have to explore some surveys or bring out some results from discussions held with your target group, and then understanding what is the real thoughts out of this. Okay. And the last one is the feelings. The feelings about the activities. How are your participants, your target audience, your target group, how are they about the activities? Are they excited? Are they calm? Are they happy about this? Are they tired again, maybe is the feeling. Or they feel pressure. So what are the feelings? What are the emotions? And again, notice that some circles can come over the golden circle itself. It's totally fine. Feel free, feel very natural. Where do you position your circles answering all these questions? So this can also go a little bit mixed throughout the drawing. So basically here is the composition of our golden empathy circle. I will sign it as well, golden empathy circle. Okay. And by this structure, by this composition, you can explore if there are things overlapping, if there are things similar from your perception, from what you offer, and what actually comes from the target audience, from the target group. Are these things matching or not? And you can notice if there are any gaps. For example, maybe by filling these circles in and these windows in, you can understand that you're not talking so much to your target group. You don't know what they actually think. You don't understand their actual needs. Or maybe you notice that mostly they know only about the activities. They have no idea about your values because you have never spoken about the values together with them. Or I don't know, their behavior is so much different from what they actually feel. And maybe you should focus more on their feelings, and maybe more of your activities or your approach should be more about mentoring, support, being available, giving them the opportunity to be listened, to be heard. Maybe this. Okay. Please explore also visually which circles you notice the most. Which ones are the biggest ones? And what does it mean? Which circles are the smallest one? And what does that mean? Which part of the drawing is the most intense? Where are the most circles? Maybe if you feel that something is messy, here is a bit messy to my mind. Yeah. So analyze, what do you notice? What do you see? What are the like highlights of your drawing visually? And what do you understand by this? After doing this, we go to the second step of the neurographic algorithm, and it means that we are also adding some lines. And I invite you to draw these lines throughout this center, through Y values, through you yourself. There's something that you offer. So it's not only audience by itself and you by yourself, but you are mixing together. You can add some 3-4 lines as you wish. Okay. And then we start rounding, the next step of the algorithm. Rounding means that when two lines are meeting and crossing and making a corner, so we can round them so that one line continues going into the other line, like this. Up to you how much you manage, you dare, you want to round, but do the rounding at least to the big shapes that you notice. So for example, here where your lines, your neurographical lines are crossing the golden circle. So this is quite crucial. Exactly during the rounding part, it's super sufficient, super necessary that you observe yourself, you scan yourself. So you're here and now in the process. Now, it's not that important what you wrote there, but it's important how do you feel here and now. So you scan yourself by 4 points of attention. The first one is always thoughts. We have had quite a lot of thoughts during drawing the composition, but still, even now, while rounding, keep an eye on what you are thinking about. What are the topics you think about? Are they actually connected to the topic you are drawing? So to your organization work, to your target group, or you fly away in your thoughts thinking about something totally different. And if you do so, don't punish yourself. It's totally natural. Instead, just ask yourself, how is it connected? What does it mean that I think about this topic when I'm actually drawing my actual topic? Second point of attention is emotions or feelings. So happy, angry, suspicious, tired, excited. Try to name the feelings you have here and now, not just naming them in theory so that you express how much you know about feelings, but observe yourself here and now. How do you feel? Also notice if you touch any particular circle while rounding them, what do you feel there? See which keyword are you working through and how do you feel about this? So for example, maybe I touch the circle of what they think and I feel suspicious. What does that mean? Why? Who is suspicious to whom, for example? Yeah. Okay. And the third point of attention is body sensations. So all what happens in my body here and now. Do I feel hot? Do I feel cold? Do I have any pain? Is it itching somewhere? Also pay attention, like which parts of the body are responding the most, or which ones are more like frozen and blocked and not responding at all. And if so, why? Remember that all the upper parts of the body are more responsible for our philosophic views, for our visions, insights, and the lower it is in the body, so the lower chakras are more responsible for our practicalities and stability. So how can we survive in this life? Yeah, if we have food enough, if we have money enough, if we have safety enough for us. Okay. So notice what happens where in which part of the body as well. Okay. And totally fine if while you ask yourself about body sensations, suddenly you answer about emotions or thoughts. Whatever happens, everything is natural. Just be here and now for yourself and observe and notice. And if anything valuable, interesting comes out, you're also welcome to note, to write it down so you don't forget, and you can come back to your drawing later and to your notes later and see what does it tell you. How can you use it further on? Okay. And the fourth, the last point of attention is visions. Visions are the visual thoughts. So while drawing, while rounding, what kind of pictures do I see in front of my eyes? Not here in the paper, but in my mind. What are the memories? What are the visualizations of the future, maybe? Yeah, so maybe I start imagining and planning even some specific activities, or I see some particular people from the target audience, or yeah, I see just some particular details. I don't know how people are dressed, or what do they do, or if they shake their hands, or if they smile, or whatever. Yeah, so what are the details that I pay attention to? Okay, and you can flow freely in between all the points of attention and just observe yourself and scan yourself here and now in between thoughts and emotions and body sensations and the visions. I have quite a lot to round, so I feel like I could do the main parts maybe, and maybe leave some small rounding for later so that we can go further with the next steps of the algorithm. But the big crosses, of course, I want to round so they don't disturb me and don't irritate me. And this is also an example of a thought. If I pronounce this kind of sentence, this is a particular thought. And what I invite you to do is just to repeat once again the thought that you have said and kind of match it to the topic. So what does it say, this kind of sentence, about your target group or about the work of your organization or in your project? What does it mean that I want to round the biggest crosses so that they don't disturb me and I don't get irritated? Yeah, what does it mean in this big topic for me? And what are the conclusions that I can make out of this? The conclusion could be there are too many crosses. The conclusion could be that maybe I should get less irritated. and how. Okay, so you can continue this thinking process more and more. Okay. After the rounding part, we go to archetyping part, and archetyping means also coloring. So please take the colored pencils or highlighters. I feel that I cannot stop rounding. Okay, but please, 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 let's do it. Okay, you take pencils and you start coloring fully, freely, as you wish. Highlighting the circles, or maybe highlighting the golden circle. Fully up to you how you color. It's not compulsory to color absolutely everything. You can also leave some white spots in the picture, totally fine. Totally fine. Just give it a touch, give it a sense of color. Absolutely free choice of the colors as well. If you start thinking, oh, why did I choose that or this color? Answer yourself, what does this color mean to you? So there are no correct and right answers for everybody here. It's all on your perception. So ask yourself, answer yourself, listen to yourself. A bit more coloring. My body sensation says I want to sink. And again, I can stick it to the topic and ask, what does it mean? Maybe we should start some choir activities or singing activities or voice developing activities, or that we should think more about this approach, how to take care of the voice, of the facilitator's voice, for example, or it can be metaphoric, how to support the target group's voice. So, for example, how to support the voice of youngsters, meaning giving them opportunity for self-expression, empowering them, and so on. The next step of the algorithm is providing the field lines. For this, you can take a wider marker or a marker of another color, and you can draw one if you want more lines, neural lines going through the center, so through Y circle, but also compulsory going through the whole drawing. Without thinking, just do it, and then explore what are the circles, what are the keywords going through this main line, and it gives you a clue what should be the main direction you should focus on. So for example, I see clearly that in my case, it goes through the behavior of the target group to the feelings, and not so much about what they think and what they say. Yeah, so it's maybe more embodiment sessions, more like focus on the emotional world and so on. Okay. And the final step of the algorithm is the fixation. You can use the same marker or any other white marker. Please close your eyes and draw a circle anywhere in the picture without thinking. Okay. Make it clear. This is the most important part of your drawing. And this is the clue. This is the key. What your subconsciousness is telling to you, what to focus on here and now as the first thing to do. I see clearly that why is involved there, fully involved, but then also how and what. And it's very much about behavior, so behavioral practices I can also pay attention which exactly keywords are inside. So this can give me a small hint what exactly to do. So here it is, the fixation is ready and the whole algorithm is ready. So we're fully ready with the golden emphasis circle. Go ahead, good luck with your projects and your organization work. Good luck with understanding and feeling your target groups, nonprofit, all inclusive.